the hospital, along with local members of parliament, described the attack as a massacre against innocent civilians. Anbar Province Member of Parliament Mohammed Karabouli said the civilian toll might be in excess of 60 when all is said and done, confirming that some of his relatives were among the slain. He demanded an immediate investigation by the Prime Minister and to hold accountable those responsible. Karabouli complained that intelligence on Al-Qaim was clearly not good if they attacked a marketplace that crowded, and insisted that killing a handful of terrorists at the cost of scores of civilians could not be justified.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.xyz, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.xyz today to find out more.
UPI reports 2 juveniles have been charged with starting the historic wildfires that killed more than a dozen people in Tennessee this month, according to authorities on Wednesday. Investigators said the teenagers were arrested and charged with aggravated arson. Neither their names, ages, or genders were disclosed, though. The fires were Tennessee's worst in decades and destroyed nearly 2,000 homes and other structures. At least 14 people died and 150 others were hurt as the result of fires in Sevier County. It was not clear whether the teens might face additional charges such as murder or manslaughter, although prosecutors could try them both as adults. Prosecutor James Dunn said everything is on the table. Officials said the two will have a detention hearing within the next 3 days.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports Republican senators are leaning towards a plan to delay the effective date of an Obamacare repeal for 3 years, according to a senior Republican on Wednesday. But some conservatives in the House of Representatives think that is too long to wait for the end to the Affordable Care Act, the official name of President Barack Obama's signature health insurance program. Senator Orrin Hatch, chairman of that chamber's Finance Committee, told reporters, in the Senate there's consensus for 3 years, saying it could take that long to work out a replacement for Obamacare, adding it takes time to get things done around here. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said Republicans in the House and the Senate say they want to repeal Obamacare early in 2017, saying it will be the first order of business in the Senate in January. Donald Trump's election as U.S. president last month means Republicans will control the White House, Senate, and U.S. House of Representatives in 2017. The new Congress goes to work on January 3rd. Trump will be sworn in on January 20th. But Republicans have not agreed on how quickly the Obamacare repeal should go into effect. A delay would give them time to work on a replacement instead of throwing millions of Americans out of their health insurance programs with no substitute. Some House conservatives favor phasing out Obamacare and getting a replacement within 2 years because 3 years would not lapse until after the next congressional election, with the attendant uncertainty about who will be the majority at that time. Ben Williamson, spokesman for Representative Mark Meadows, the incoming leader of the Freedom Caucus, said there's a potential that some members of the Freedom Caucus might vote against repeal if the replacement was going to be beyond 2 years. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Gilman's Hardware is a local business with a very special story. Although small and family-owned, the storefront operation has managed to consistently exploit and debase its workers just as if they were members of a giant multinational corporation.
From the moment I started the store 6 years ago, I wanted to make sure that every employee here at Gilman's felt like they were nothing more than a cog in a giant machine, just as if they had worked at one of our larger corporate competitors.
Den Blaker said that despite having only 10 employees and a single location, he's managed to implement a number of unique policies to significantly reduce employee morale, including forbidding sales clerks to sit down during lengthy shifts, reducing their number of days with paid time off, and insisting on humiliating pat-downs during lunch breaks to ensure they never felt like trusted or valued employees.
Other small businesses might have given me benefits or, let me take a day off. But everyone here at Gilman's does their best to treat you like you're a totally replaceable tool for generating profit.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk Live. We'll give you the toll-free call-in line here in just a moment where you can actually call and talk about what is on your mind. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Chris.
And, well, we're going to start off with something that, Chris, I think you might know a little bit about, and that is technology.
Maybe.
You're aware of this company that makes telephones called Samsung?
I heard the name before.
And
sounds foreign.
Apple? I think that's how you pronounce it, Apple?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, these guys, and Chris, you know this, or at least I'm fairly certain you do, and I'm guessing a lot of other people do as well. They've been going back and forth in court for years over various things. One of the things recently was an intellectual property claim where Apple claimed, among other things, to own rectangles with rounded corners.
Yeah, I think I've violated that intellectual property probably a few times.
Well, I believe that was one of the three things that the U.S. Supreme Court actually ruled on a couple of days ago. Story comes from QZ.com. A U.S. Supreme Court ruling in a dispute between Apple and Samsung over design patents may have big implications for designers of all sorts. The unanimous 8-0 decision in Samsung's favor essentially said that the company does not have to turn over all of the profits made from sales of phones that the court previously ruled had copied elements of the iPhone's design. So what had happened was there was the lower court ruling that said, yep, Samsung, you copied some of what is on the iPhone, so therefore you have to give Apple all of the profits from these specific phone designs. Typically, a U.S. court, and this going back to the article, typically, U.S. courts have interpreted the relevant section of law to mean that a patent violator would forfeit all of the profits, even if the infringement is only on part of the design. Samsung, which a U.S. court ruled in 2012, had copied the iPhone's rounded corners, its bezel, and grid of icons on the home screen, had argued this interpretation goes too far and that the design patent covers only certain elements of the product, not the entirety of the product.
That's great to hear. I mean, it was so ridiculous. I mean, just insanity because, I mean, a phone is a phone. I mean,
correct.
How many times did I'm sure Apple lawyers and executives sat around going, you know, we put the part that you hear from at the top of the phone,
right,
and the part that you speak into is towards the bottom. Do you think we have any standing there? Do you think maybe we can? Do you think maybe we can get? Maybe AT&T did that 100 years ago,
right?
But I mean, did they really do it like we do?
Right, and I'm wondering, and I might be one of the few people that actually knows about this other design case that the Supreme Court will be hearing sometime later this session. But I'm wondering if this ruling is a foreshadowing of that other case. So the other case, there's, I forget the name of the small company that makes cheerleading outfits, but they're being sued by Star Athletica, which is,
company.
The huge company that makes cheerleading outfits. And they're claiming that the use of zigzags and other sort of patterns along the hem is a violation of copyright.
Jesus.
Because, no, we use zigzags and these other patterns on the hem. And what the smaller company is arguing is, no. We're not copying anything that is actually, the uniform itself, because the courts have previously ruled that, stitching around hems, as long as it's not a unique part of the clothing, then it cannot be copyrighted. So, belt loops cannot be patented.
I'm calling a timeout.
Yes.
We sit here and wonder why our country's so screwed up sometimes these things. And when we have courts deciding, making decisions about zigzags and hems and belt loops.
Right. Well, the belt loop, I don't think they've actually made a ruling on the belt loop. Okay. I'm just giving an example of
that's okay.
Belt loop is something that makes a pair of pants that hold a belt.
Sure. But I'm saying that there is without a doubt something even more ridiculous that time, tax money, and effort has been put into. And these are the important decisions our government contemplates.
Well, what's more important, Chris? Whether or not Samsung, or in the case of the phone that I have, HTC, can make a rectangle with rounded corners, or where people can go potty? Because we know where a lot of legislators are spending their time.
Absolutely.
They're concerned about where people go potty.
Exactly. Jeez.
Back to the article from QZ.com. And if you have thoughts on this, you can call us 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The Supreme Court justices evidently agreed with Samsung, but many designers in fields ranging from the auto industry to fashion have disputed this view. In August, a group of 111 distinguished design experts filed an amicus brief on Apple's behalf, arguing that a product's design is inseparable from the product itself.
Let me use government and the big hand to make sure that my job is protected and that I can come up with anything I claim is my original idea and protect me from my competition. Don't even protect me from my competition. Just wipe out my competition so I don't have to worry about it.
Samsung had argued that the law could lead to absurd results. However, such as the maker of a shoe that infringes on two separate design patents, having to pay more than its total profits, and said it was excessive to penalize a company for 100% of the profits made by a product that might have infringed on 1% of a patent. The U.S. Supreme Court ruling effectively reduces the deterrent effect of design patents, which are expensive and time-consuming to acquire as is. Susan Scafidi, the academic director of the Fashion Law Institute at Fordham University School of Law, says it's definitely a victory for copyists.
Can I call
and
time
could
out?
Lead to more knockoffs.
Can I call time out again?
Yes.
What was her title again? With what?
The academic director of the Fashion Law Institute at Fordham University School of Law.
Why do we have fashion law? I just got to say, this story just is making my head hurt.
Right. And
fashion law.
Don't you love the term that she used here? She said, this is definitely a victory for copyists. Miss Scafidi, if you're listening, please lend me your ear for about 5 seconds. Copying is not theft. If I steal your bicycle, you have to take the bus. But if I just copy it, there's one for each of us.
There we go.
And now I do have to say, in full disclosure, I did not create that. I totally copied that from Nina Bailey, who has a song called Copying is Not Theft. And that's one of my favorite lines of the song.
How apropos.
And one thing that is interesting, I downloaded that video from YouTube and posted it on another YouTube channel. There was a copyright claim, but not filed by Nina or anybody involved with creating the video.
By YouTube? Or
no, I forget who did, but YouTube had told me who it was, and so I just sent them a response of, I dispute your copyright claim because copying is not theft. That's the title of the song. It's released under Creative Commons.
I learned it right here.
Yeah. The
Nice.
article here continues with another quote from Miss Scafidi, or is it Professor Scafidi, the academic director of the Fashion Law Institute. We'll tell you the rest of what she has to say about this.
Oh, my.
Quote-unquote victory for copyists. What are your thoughts? 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Thanks for calling Somabiotics. Are you calling for a free trial of our belly flattening breakthrough?
Actually, I already got the free trial. It totally flattened my belly.
Wow, that's great news.
But now I have a problem I never thought I'd have. My belly just keeps getting flatter. I mean, I don't want to look like a runway model, but I don't want to stop taking Somabiotics either. Because seriously, I've never looked this good.
Well, here's one thing you can do. Only take Somabiotics every other day. That'll keep up your results without making your belly too flat. And if you ever need to ramp up your belly flattening results again, just go back to taking it every day.
To get your free trial of Somabiotics, call 1-800-961-5687. You're going to love how you look. And if your belly flattening results are too dramatic, simply reduce use to every other day. But hurry and call now for details while they're still giving it away for free. Call 1-800-961-5687. That's 1-800-961-5687. 1-800-961-5687.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. See website for details.
Need some extra cash today? Do you have bad credit or maxed out credit cards? If so, turn your radio up. 45cash.com is one of the nation's largest personal loan networks with over 50 different lenders. Now you can get a personal loan for up to $5,000 with any type of credit discreetly from your computer or smartphone and with no paperwork to send in. That's right, no paperwork whatsoever. Your cash will hit your bank account as soon as tomorrow, as our lenders have millions of dollars to lend regardless of your credit history. Visit 45cash.com and you can have up to $5,000 in no time. Just have a checking account and a regular source of income and you can get the loan you need now, regardless of your credit. Go to 45cash.com from your smartphone or computer to get the cash you need. Visit 45cash.com. Type www.45cash.com directly into the address bar. That's 45cash.com. 45cash.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Chris.
And Freedom's Phoenix is a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. If you want the newest and freshest stories and perspectives on current events from those who value liberty, FreedomsPhoenix.com has it. Their daily dispatch is the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. That's Freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com, FreedomsPhoenix.com. We are talking about Samsung versus Apple, round 5,463 or something like that.
Is also known as give Chris an ice cream headache by talking about copyright law and design infringement. That's what this does to me.
Why does it give you an ice cream headache?
It's insanity. I mean, these
trademark Baskin Robbins.
Exactly. Spurious claims that you can claim a shape that just occurs when people have ideas, and that somehow you can sue. And the fact that a university actually has a fashion law department, this stuff just boggles my mind.
Not just a department, an entire institute.
Wow.
The Fashion Law Institute at Fordham University School of Law. The academic director, Susan Scafaldi, says this is definitely a victory for copyists. She says that rule was designed to make sure copyists did not just treat the possibility of a lawsuit or payment of damages as an incidental business expense.
No.
Now, with damage awards limited to the percentage of profits attributable to the copying, designed patents are much less valuable to creators. Not only are the potential awards or settlements lower, but the cost of calculating and litigating the amount of damages are higher.
Well, let's just do away with them then. How about that? That just seems like she just made a perfect argument for that.
She did.
Yeah.
But, of course, she's not going to realize that she made a good argument for that.
And her whole livelihood goes around this very topic. So,
yeah, and how many other industries are there that rely heavily on copyright and patent? It seems like everything relies on one of those two.
Yeah, what was I think it was an offer from, let's say that I use a service for, legal things, and maybe it might rhyme with like Beagle Room or something like that.
Yep.
Okay.
I know the one you're talking about.
But they were trying to sell me a higher package of bundled services that I could get.
Yep.
And one of their things was, included in this, we'll do like copyright for you once a month.
What?
It's like you can get like a free copyright once a month. I was like, so I can just randomly throw stuff out there and say, nope, I got a copyright on that.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
It is.
And I don't know if you've ever used the service Fiverr.
Yes.
One thing that I've noticed that a lot of the graphic design people are putting now is, for this much, I'll give you the license to where you can use this without having to get my permission, even though you paid me for the design.
Right. Yeah.
And from where I'm coming from, that just seems absolutely ridiculous to me. And what a lot of people that support copyright don't understand, and Davi Barker put this so eloquently, or much more eloquently than I'm about to relay it to you, but he said what copyright and patent actually do, what intellectual property as a whole actually does, is it winds up saying, I own neurons in your brain.
Yeah.
Because you have heard a thought, and then you're thinking the thought, and if you ever re-express the thought in the same way that you heard it, then you have copied my intellectual property. So therefore, the neurons that fired when you said that statement belong to me. All your neurons belong to Darryl. And then people start to realize how ludicrous it actually is.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that it's not a positive thing. It's not something that makes us better. It's not something that promotes creativity, or what promotes creativity is seeing an idea, taking that idea, maybe doing it the same way but doing it cheaper, or maybe doing it the same way and maybe tweaking it just a little bit.
Well, one of the best, most well-known names in the auto industry, Ford. Henry Ford was not able to patent or trademark anything that he did related to vehicles.
Really?
But he wound up becoming, like a multi-millionaire?
Yeah, beyond.
A long time ago when, like millions then were like billions now.
Yeah, one of the wealthiest men on the planet.
Yeah, he was not able to patent or copyright anything he did with cars.
Yep.
What he wound up doing was finding an efficient way to make them.
Yep. The assembly line and all the other advances that he found just to do it better. And at a time when he didn't have competition, not serious competition.
Right.
There were other car companies that were popping up, but he knew that if he wanted to get even bloody richer, then he was going to have to make these things affordable for the everyman, and that was the genius.
And you can
to
have
me.
it in any color you want as long as you want it in black. Back to the article here from QZ.com. As a result, the company, that being somebody that might borrow ideas from someone else, QZ says would more easily profit from copying other designs, paying at worst only the portion that it copied. Brands that rely heavily on design patents, such as footwear, are likely to be hardest hit, Nike being one example. In June, the world's largest sportswear brand filed an amicus brief on behalf of neither party, but said in the filing it has a substantial interest in the case given that it holds the third largest portfolio of designed patents in the United States. You heard that right. A sportswear company holds the third largest portfolio of design patents in the United States. Nike went on to add that it invests a great deal of resources in design and that effective protection of its intellectual property is vitally important to Nike's brand success, competitive position, and growth potential. Do you think that if somebody looks at a pair of Nike shoes and says, wow, I really like the way they do their laces, that people are going to then forget that Nike exists?
Right.
And not purchase those shoes?
No, what's going to happen?
Very overpriced shoes.
Yeah, God forbid if all these some of these design patents didn't exist for Nike, then you will see competition pop up and go, hey, look how Nike is designing their heel.
I got
idea.
a pair of Mikey shoes.
Yeah, but I can do this. I see a way that I can reduce the cost of that by 50%. But I have to use some of Nike's elements to do that. That's what it protects. It protects them against competition, and it's just
right and
so anti-free trade. It's ridiculous.
And I don't know if you've ever seen the commercial online for "We'll help you file your patent." They even say if you have improved on an existing patent.
Oh yeah,
which apparently does not apply to designed patents. There's more. Plus your thoughts. 855-450 free. This is Free Talk Live.
If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season.
Don't know what contaminants are lurking in your water? Time to get a ProPure. Take advantage of ProPure's holiday sale. Save 25% on all ProPure water filter products. Sales good through December 31st. There's a ProPure water filter for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers, and some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering open bazaar hosting. Go to agorist.hosting.com. Click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting. That's AGORIST hosting.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is $3 lower at $1,171 per ounce. Silver is 12 cents lower at $17.06 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $768 US. Consider giving the gift of silver. It never wears out, always has value, and they will always remember who gave it. For a variety of options, call us at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Work with your doctor when taking medications. Make Protovite part of your healthy lifestyle.
HealthForLiberty.com is your source for Protovite, a powerful nutritional supplement that's a true breakthrough for your health. Poor digestion makes it nearly impossible to absorb the nutrition your body needs. Protovite is a liquid multi-nutrient formula with patent-pending absorption technology and the highest quality ingredients to nourish every cell in your body.
My name is Sandra White. 6 weeks ago, when I started taking Protovite, I was on 14 medications, from everything for blood pressure to fibromyalgia. In the first 10 days, my blood sugar dropped 50 points, and my fibromyalgia pain is gone. And so was 12 of the 14 medications that I was taking. I'm 66, living life and loving it.
Go to healthforliberty.com right now. That's healthforliberty.com.
Thank you, Protovite, for giving my life back.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Chris.
And Chris, tell people what they will see if they are looking on the webcam that they can find at cam.freetalklive.com. What is in that picture there?
We've got a beautiful sweater from tipsyelves.com.
Yes, and, well, some people might say that's an ugly sweater. And everyone needs an ugly sweater this time of year. And if you want bragging rights for the most talked about, and that would definitely rank up there as most talked about Christmas sweater at your Christmas party, then listen up. Tipsy Elves has some very interesting sweaters. They've got one with Jesus and Santa hanging out drinking eggnog. They've got the sweater that Ian has where it looks kind of like the Elf sweater from the movie Elf with Will Ferrell.
Design patent? I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Possibly. Maybe they have the copyright or the authority to use said design. I don't know, but they have a lot of really neat sweaters. They also have some college sports apparel, and they have interactive sweaters. Yes, interactive. So there's an interactive sweater for men where it's got beer pong or cornhole. They also have Christmas suits. For the ladies, there are holiday leggings, sweater dresses, and pajamas. And right now, Free Talk Live listeners can get 20% off at tipsyelves.com on anything that you order from the site. Go to tipsyelves.com. Enter my code FTL, as in Free Talk Live. Enter that at checkout to get 20% off site-wide. That's tipsyelves.com, code FTL. So, Chris, we're talking about this case that was recently decided by the U.S. Supreme Court involving Samsung and Apple. And it was a design patent case, and not everybody's happy about the ruling.
No, not the copyists, which I didn't even know was really a word.
Well, no, the copyists are the ones that are supposed to be happy about it.
No, that's what I said. They would be happy. The copyists.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so prior to this ruling, and, according to federal statute, if you copy 1% of a thing and then you sell whatever your new product is that copies 1% of something, you are required to pay all of your profits to whomever you copied 1% from. Well, this ruling says that no, you should only have to pay the percentage of profits that equal the percentage of what was copied. In a statement on December 6th from Samsung, they thanked the group that had supported its position and praised the ruling as a victory for all those who promote creativity, innovation, and fair competition in the marketplace.
Thank you for ruling in our favor, but also thank you for not doing away with our ability to squash our competition to some degree.
Right.
Thank you for not eliminating all the protectionism that we've got built into this system.
The author of this article at QZ.com says, we reached out to Apple for comment and will update the post with any reply. But in a statement to TechCrunch, the company said its case has always been about Samsung's blatant copying of our ideas, and that was never in dispute. The statement went on to add, we remain optimistic that the lower courts will again send a powerful signal that stealing is not right. So here they equate copying an idea that, some would say no one can really own an idea. Ideas exist outside of individuals. They equate borrowing an idea to stealing.
Yes, Darryl, that's exactly what it is.
If I walk into your house, Chris, and it's a fairly nice house, but if I walk in and I say, oh, I really like the way you have, these cabinets and this sink in this position of your house, and then I go build a house and I put my cabinets and my sink in the same geographic spot of the layout,
sure,
then have I stolen your house from you because I copied part of the layout design?
I would say no.
Are you now homeless because
yes, my
kitchen looks like yours, so
when
you're now
built
homeless?
Mine disappeared. It's amazing how the universe works like that. Yeah, it's such insanity, and like I said, it's just protectionism. This is the antithesis of a free market. This is what anybody who believes that competition can bring good. It makes us try harder. It turns that on its head, and it just drives me nuts.
As Apple's statement indicates, the U.S. Supreme Court decision did not put the matter to bed, and it doesn't offer guidance on how juries and lower courts should handle similar disputes in the future. It centered specifically on whether Samsung had to pay one part of the nearly $930 million in damages that was initially ordered to pay Apple for infringing on its patents, an amount that has since been reduced and battled over, leading to the current case. The decision sends the case back to a lower court to wrestle with the idea of the article of manufacture, or rather whether the article of manufacture involved is the entire phone or just certain components, and then to determine what Samsung owes. And now they left out in this article that one of the judges in the decision used a very interesting phrase to describe what Samsung did. They said they didn't, quote, copy the chips and stuff.
Well, that's good.
So, we're talking here specifically about just,
the aesthetics.
A rectangle with rounded corners. And then I think there was also the swipe function that, Android calls something other than swipe, or Apple calls other than swipe.
Sure.
And then the layout of the way things fit on the home screen.
Which is just insanity. I mean, it is such a natural... Okay, then Apple, you copied what the desktop of a PC looks like, or of Windows. Actually, that's not a good example because Windows absolutely copied what Apple had been doing before. Right. But Apple had earlier copied the work from the Park Xerox projects in California coming out of the 70s. Apple's ideas for a desktop and the use of a mouse were not original. Xerox was just foolish enough to let those guys in the door and show, hey, look at all the cool stuff we're doing. So Apple, in a sense, really did start out with infringing most directly on design.
Isn't it interesting how the companies that begin, with one thing wind up later, making sure that nobody else can do what they did?
Exactly. And I just find it ironic. And when you look back to the Park Xerox Center, I mean, those guys were just like, we love to show you what we're doing because we think it's cool. We think this stuff's kind of revolutionary, and we'd love to see more people doing it. I don't think Xerox flipped around and started suing them, at least not immediately. They might have after Apple was highly successful with the Apple II and IIe and Macintosh and stuff
Let's
like
go
that.
to the phones. We've got James calling in from I'm not sure where, and I accidentally hit the wrong button. The on-air and the drop are right next to each other.
Yikes.
And I hit the wrong button. So, board op, please let him call back. That was a mistake. Although, if that's who I think it is, he's going to say it totally wasn't a mistake. But, since I'm saying let him call back, that shows that it totally was. Your calls and thoughts welcome, 855-450 free. And since we're talking about copyright, I saw another article about an expansion NHL team, the Vegas Golden Knights, that had their trademark for the team name denied because some small college is also called the Golden Knights, and they said it would be confusing to people.
Oh, dear.
855-450 free. Or on Skype, username is lrn.fm. This is Free Talk Live.
A funny thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Modern advertisers have been trained to look for trackability in their advertising, and web search ads are great for that. They also help you get the consumer that's looking for products like yours in the moment. But they're expensive, and they do nothing to convince people to try your product segment in the first place. If you're a local advertiser, contact this station. If you can use national exposure, Free Talk Live's on more than 150 stations, and we can help advertisers with little budgets and big ones. Send me an email, mark@freetalklive.com. It's mark@freetalklive.com.
You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. healthexcellenceselect.com. healthexcellenceselect.com.
Honey, I'm really worried about our retirement funds.
Oh, me too. We lost so much value in the recession in the stock market. I'm worried we won't have enough to retire.
Jim next door told me that he had set up a new kind of IRA with the Gold Silver Group. He said how simple and safe it was. It's a private storage IRA, and we could have real gold and silver in our hands.
Really? You mean we can actually see it and touch it?
Absolutely. Jim said we could have all the benefits of an IRA to help build our retirement income. Bottom line, we would own a real tangible asset, and we would have the security of knowing we're protected no matter what the economy does. What do you think?
I think we need to find out how to get our own private storage IRA. We need to call the Gold Silver Group right now.
Are you ready to protect your future? Call 800-687-5416 now to find out how easy and safe it is to set up a private storage IRA with Gold Silver Group. Get up to $995 in free silver on all qualified transactions. Ask how. All transactions have no startup fee, are privately delivered and fully insured. Please call us now. 800-687-5416. 800-687-5416.
If you're a parent, chances are you know all about the Spooky Truth books, with subjects ranging from shadowy fraternal organizations to mind-controlling TV shows. Kids can't get enough of this series of short, scary children's novels.
And Spooky Truth author K.L. Graves is joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Now, my kids just love these books. In just 4 years, you put out 25 books. It came from Tower 7, Curse of the Chemtrails, The Zionist Who Cried Holocaust.
Now, this stuff has really been catching on. Over 40 million copies sold sold so many bestsellers out there.
I've been thrilled. Before this series, I was self-publishing pamphlets and handing them out on the train. Now I get emails from teachers and parents all the time telling me that my books are all their kids can talk about.
Oh, well, it's true. My son used to hate to read. Now he's holed up in the basement with these spooky truth books all day and night. Says he never watches TV, doesn't even want tap water anymore. He just loves reading so much.
This is the Onion News Network.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Chris, registered copyright.
And we've been talking about intellectual property because, well, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled a couple days ago that Samsung does not have to pay all of their profits from certain telephones to Apple because they only copied, for lack of a better term, copied part of the design. So the rounded corners on the rectangle.
How about used, interpreted, gained inspiration from? There's all sorts of ways that people use things that they see every day.
Yes.
And it doesn't just default to be, you copied me.
Right. But whatever happened to flattery is the sincerest form of something.
Coppery? I think it's the other way around. Imitation
is the sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah, I get that, but that goes out the window when your goal is nothing but to protect yourself from competition.
I want people to imitate me, but not to the point to where they wind up making money doing it.
Right. Or in pairing my ability to sort of have this monopoly over this type of thing that I do.
Let's go to Skype. We've actually got a call coming from Africa. Mustafa, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hello.
How are you?
You're on. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Gansford McLean, a co-worker with Mustafa in Sierra Leone. Yeah. I'm a sports reporter in our country, Sierra Leone, wherein I'm working for one of the local radio stations known as Leone Radio 105.7 FM in the western part of Freetown.
Excellent.
And I would like to say the things, some of the challenges in the Sierra Leone about the media landscape, how we are working in Sierra Leone pertaining to radio broadcasting in the country.
Okay. So what's going on? We know that Mustafa's called in a couple times about the Sierra Leone Liberty Group.
Yes, of course.
And are you involved with that with him?
Yes, I'm the public relations officer for the Sierra Leone Liberty Group as well. Mustafa Cole is our president or stroke director of the organization, and I'm one of the strong members who are working with him to ensure that Sierra Leone Liberty Group have the message gone within the country. And recently we've hosted our program which was a cross-border event with the Institute of Liberty and Policy Innovation in Ghana, which was held on the 18th and 19th of November at the African American Corner in Fritz and Battle Street. So as the public relations officer, we are working together as one to ensure that the liberty message in the country, we are able to pass it on to the youth, especially those who are deprived in the slum community, to some other areas, to ensure that the message go on.
So a little bit about the cross-border you talked about between Sierra Leone, Liberty Groups in Sierra Leone, and Liberty Groups in Ghana. Is that a big deal, or is that a fairly open border?
It was a fairly open border because it was an online program wherein we have 3 participants: the president for ELAPI Ghana and the program officers with one of the media, somebody. 3 of them were here in Freetown for close to 2 weeks, where they returned back after the event. Gotcha. It was an interactive program wherein invited people to come and talk about business plan and on how they can start up their own business, online teaching as well. 2 days program, which was very much interactive to ensure that people can know how to involve in business, less think about government, and try to empower yourself in business.
Yeah, I have nothing but admiration for you guys to reach out and expand that message in areas, because you're right. People living in slums, people, the impoverished, the hungry, the best way to lift them out of that is the ideas of liberty. I'm not going to say it's just capitalism on its own. It's not. It's people being free to do what they wish, and that's what happens.
Yeah, most definitely. That's one of the things we've been discussing about, because we know the challenges of people in the country. There are times to have their 3 square meals a day is very much challenging. But there are so many challenges to set up radio in the country. There are so many challenges in radio broadcasting, because we look about the sports sector, because I'm a sports reporter, as I said earlier on, which I'm working for. There are so many challenges. We have few radio which cannot link up to take over the whole country, which has been the challenge, because you talk about internet facility in the country. Right. To have all those facility, it's a bit a burden for people to access it. So as a journalist, I'm working in a local radio, as I said. My job has been very much difficult, because to have the internet facility is one of the key problems. Even the equipment, when you want to do your Vox Pop interviews, you want to do to Adobe to ensure that it becomes very much appreciable to the listeners out there. So these are some of the challenges we'll be having in town.
I applaud you. I think that's great, and it's inspirational to anybody anywhere who's somewhat new. I mean, I think we in the United States take this for granted. We've kind of had this long history where we were founded on the ideas of liberty and then quickly abandoned many of them. Sadly, and we're always in this battle to try to regain them and defend the few that we have left. And it's a universal message. That's the beauty of it, is that it applies to all people. It applies everywhere, and it will make people's lives better. It's not a selfish thing.
Yeah, that's it. So as I'm saying, to ensure that my own passion is that to ensure that I report community interesting stories. So that will be very much good if I have support to well-wishers out there, to learn more, because I want to learn more, because the equipment, the facility, we don't have it much here. The few that we have, we are making use of it, but it's not much. So if it happens that I can study somewhere else where I can empower myself, because as I just mentioned, I love to report community interesting story, the need of the people, how that can be addressed. Right. So I'm asking for help, whatever, because this is a good venture for me to speak here, because I'm Ransford Macklin. To speak here, it sounds a plus for me to get you guys on board, to ensure that you support me one way or the other.
Now, if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, do you have your own personal website that they could go to?
Yeah, I have my email address, which I'm working with, and my Facebook account, which I will send you through.
Yep, send those to us, and then we can get that to at least the members of the AMP program.
Right.
AMP is Advertise, Market, and Promote. It's people that like what we're doing and send $5 a month.
Yep.
And then they do get perks like ad-free versions of the show. You can find out more about that at amp.freetalklive.com. So yeah, definitely get us the email address, and we'll give that to the amplifiers that are in the Facebook group.
Anything we can do to help you get the word out, we'd be happy to help.
Yeah.
All right, that would be very much good because, and just like I said, so for this to happen for me, I think it will be a dream come true because to have equipment to make our report very much easier when you go to some slum community, that will be very much appreciable. So I will send all my detail pertaining to for me because I have not set up my Facebook, my websites yet, but I have my Facebook account and my email address and all that detail. I'll forward them to you guys out there.
Excellent. Please do. And thanks for the call.
Thanks.
And that was a really good quality call.
Oh, yeah.
Coming from, like halfway across the world.
Literally halfway around the world. Yeah. I've been familiar with that, and I know, LRN and Free Talk Live are broadcast via satellite to, I guess, sub-Saharan Africa. I'm not sure how you describe that.
Western and sub-Saharan Africa.
But just the idea that by, coming in here every night, you guys do it. You talk about the ideas of liberty. You talk about little ways that people have managed to to tear down a little bit of tyranny and make themselves more free. That stuff is contagious. And that's why so many people have moved to New Hampshire. And now it turns out you're inspiring people literally around the world.
Yep. 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free line. We will be back in moments here on Free Talk Live.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
You want disruption? You got disruption. Cell 411, the world's most disruptive and empowering app, knows you want ride sharing with payment options for cash, Bitcoin, silver, and barter, as well as credit cards. And they know you want more than promises. Cell 411 delivers. The same great emergency management app, now with ride sharing. Freedom to travel is a right. You don't need big business telling you how to do it and taking fees. Go to the App Store now and download Cell 411 and get riding.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, December 8th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.19 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,178 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 0.7 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $771. Antiwar.com reports Iraqi warplanes have attacked a crowded marketplace in the town of Al-Qaim on Wednesday, killing at least 55 civilians along with 8 the Islamic State militants, according to the source at the local hospital. Al-Qaim is the last town in the Anbar province that remains under control of the Islamic State. The hospital reported that there were 3 strikes against the market and that at least 55 civilians were slain, including at least 12 women and 19 children. Officials at the hospital, along with local members of parliament, described the attack as a massacre against innocent civilians. Anbar Province Member of Parliament Mohammed Karbuli said the civilian toll might be in excess of 60 when all is said and done, confirming that some of his relatives were among the slain. He demanded an immediate investigation by the Prime Minister and to hold accountable those responsible. Karbuli complained that intelligence on Al-Qaim was clearly not good if they attacked a marketplace that crowded, and insisted that killing a handful of terrorists at the cost of scores of civilians could not be justified. When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.xyz, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.xyz today to find out more. UPI reports 2 juveniles have been charged with starting the historic wildfires that killed more than a dozen people in Tennessee this month, according to authorities on Wednesday. Investigators said the teenagers were arrested and charged with aggravated arson. Neither their names, ages, or genders were disclosed, though. The fires were Tennessee's worst in decades and destroyed nearly 2,000 homes and other structures. At least 14 people died and 150 others were hurt as the result of fires in Sevier County. It was not clear whether the teens might face additional charges such as murder or manslaughter, although prosecutors could try them both as adults. Prosecutor James Dunn said everything is on the table. Officials said the 2 will have a detention hearing within the next 3 days. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Republican senators are leaning towards a plan to delay the effective date of an Obamacare repeal for 3 years, according to a senior Republican on Wednesday. But some conservatives in the House of Representatives think that is too long to wait for the end to the Affordable Care Act, the official name of President Barack Obama's signature health insurance program. Senator Orrin Hatch, chairman of that chamber's Finance Committee, told reporters, in the Senate there's consensus for 3 years, saying it could take that long to work out a replacement for Obamacare, adding it takes time to get things done around here. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said Republicans in the House and the Senate say they want to repeal Obamacare early in 2017, saying it will be the first order of business in the Senate in January. Donald Trump's election as U.S. president last month means Republicans will control the White House, Senate, and U.S. House of Representatives in 2017. The new Congress goes to work on January 3rd. Trump will be sworn in on January 20th. But Republicans have not agreed on how quickly the Obamacare repeal should go into effect. A delay would give them time to work on a replacement instead of throwing millions of Americans out of their health insurance programs with no substitute. Some House conservatives favor phasing out Obamacare and getting a replacement within 2 years because 3 years would not lapse until after the next congressional election, with the attendant uncertainty about who will be the majority at that time. Ben Williamson, spokesman for Representative Mark Meadows, the incoming leader of the Freedom Caucus, said there's a potential that some members of the Freedom Caucus might vote against repeal if the replacement was going to be beyond 2 years. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Sources within the Vatican confirmed Tuesday that Pope Benedict XVI has dispatched an elite team of 6 bishops to sabotage leading contraceptive manufacturer Pfizer. Codenamed Conclave 6, the highly trained team of bishops will reportedly infiltrate the heavily guarded compound, detonate extremely powerful charges at key points within the factory, and then escape to a nearby safe house.
The Catholic Church can trust only the best with defending God's plan. Conclave 6 is the deadliest team of bishops I've ever laid eyes on.
The Pope denied rumors that a B team of needle-wielding priests had been deployed to a latex factory in New Jersey to poke tiny holes into thousands of Durex condoms. Locally, the best part of a gay 12-year-old's day is the half hour he spends eating lunch alone in a stairwell. Calling it his only respite from constant ridicule and mockery, 7th grader Ben McElroy says life doesn't get better than the moments he spends quietly laying out his lunch on a secluded staircase while the rest of his classmates are in the cafeteria.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we had been talking in the first hour mostly about intellectual property. This because of the recent Supreme Court ruling in one of the myriad cases involving Samsung and Apple. One of the specifics on this was that Samsung made several phones, one in particular that had a rectangular shape with rounded corners, and Apple said, "You stole that from us. You have to give us money now." And a lower court agreed and said, "Yes, Samsung, you have to give all of the money that you made from this phone to
Every
Apple."
penny. Every penny. Yes.
Every penny. And so it went to U.S. Supreme Court. U.S. Supreme Court said, "No, you should probably only have to wind up giving the amount of profits that's equal to the amount of the design that, or, you know, the amount of the product that was copied."
So to continue the idea of the insanity of this, so now we're going to get a bunch of people together to argue about what percentage of a phone constitutes a single curved corner, so we can multiply that by 4 and determine what damages ought to be.
So are we looking, how many solders are there on the inside on the chips?
This is so subjective. It's as I said before, this is my ice cream headache subject. So go ahead with your story.
Well,
I'll just bang my head on the wall.
No,
we're
done with that, but it did bring up, we also mentioned the Vegas Golden Knights. That's going to be the new expansion team in the National Hockey League. And, well, there was a small Division II college, the College of St. Rose, that filed thing with the federal government saying, if you grant them this trademark, people will get confused.
I'm sorry, what college?
The College of St. Rose.
Oh, I heard you the first time. I'm just saying I've never heard of that college. And this is not going to be confusing to me.
I'm a sports fan.
Hey,
and
since we're on
I've never heard of the College of St. Rose.
Since we're on the topic of sports, I actually had this thought on my ride in. Like, do you think now that Donald Trump was elected, him being a Tom Brady fan, that we're going to see some justice for Roger Goodell?
That's a good question.
I don't know, but I did see that Donald Trump, used his connections with WWE to name Linda McMahon the head of the Small Business Administration.
I like it. Yeah, what the heck? What the heck?
Yeah. So, this entire thing of the College of St. Rose saying, nope, people are going to confuse us for the Vegas Golden Knights professional hockey team.
Okay, I'm just going to make an assumption here and stereotype and say that St. Rose is in Minnesota.
Actually, no. The College of St. Rose is somewhere in New York. I forget the city.
I thought I nailed that one. St. Rose, Minnesota.
Albany.
Just sounds right.
It is in Albany, New York. But yeah, it does sound like something that would be in Minnesota.
Yeah, I know.
So
Minnesota.
Speaking of people that get
now I'm talking
confused
like
on things, let's go to Sarah calling in from New Mexico. Sarah, our resident communist caller, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, did you know that there is a large communist party in Canada? And you could actually go on vacation to Cuban. Yeah, to Cuban resort from Canada. They actually have
Yes,
relations.
because Cuba never put an embargo against Cuba.
Canada.
Canada never put an embargo against Cuba. Cuba also never put an embargo against themselves.
That's fair.
It was only the U.S. government that says that you're not allowed to go be a tourist in Cuba. But you said that Canada has a large communist party. How do you define large when they don't have seats in Parliament?
Well, you know something? That explains why they have universal, or they always constantly talk about the free health care in Canada.
Does
it?
It's not free.
Yeah, it's not free.
It's not free. People pay really high income taxes to have that free health care.
Oh, but I don't know. They say that it's something like a kind of like a socialist, communist, universal health care, though.
Oh, it is socialist and communist, but it's not free.
And to point out, the people that can't afford to, when they need something serious done, if they are wealthy Canadians, they do hop on a plane and they come to America. We're doing everything we can to our health system to make sure that doesn't occur anymore. But they do that. That's what they do. So while things may be free, they're not really free because everybody is paying for them indirectly through their taxation.
Well, not everybody. Only the people that work.
That's true.
Is it true that pharmaceuticals and drugs and stuff like that are a lot cheaper up in Canada?
There are.
Like the EpiPens, I think I heard about that recently. There's like a third of the price in Canada that is in the United States.
And there's a lot of things like that, and that has more to do. Well, it has a lot to do with a lot of different things, but it's why can't we buy pharmaceutical drugs across borders? I mean, that's a simple question. But the other thing I was going to say, Sarah, is that when you make things free, then you increase demand for them. People will utilize them more, and that means waiting lines and things slow down. We've experienced that already with Obamacare, and Canada has a long history of very slow waits for your health care. So, you know, it's a give and take. I know I'm not going to change your mind on this, but I at least feel obligated to share some facts.
So the large Communist Party in Canada ran 26 candidates for Parliament in the elections last year and wound up with 0.02% of the vote.
Sounds
like I think the Libertarian Party in the state of Washington beat that.
In 1945, the Communist Party of Canada ran 68 candidates, wound up electing one. That's the only time that the Communists have ever had somebody in the Canadian Parliament was in 1945. But I'm still trying to figure out how you think that makes them a large party.
Well, I don't know about how much influence they have in the parliament, but it's enough to affect that they have relations that you could go to the Cuban resort without jailing you or fining you like they would do in the United States. And also they have that universal health care, similar to what Obama wanted to give. So whether it's effective or not effective, it is socialized medicine.
Yes.
So
it is.
You know, the thing is, you know, I have that think about this name. Like people treat like socialism and communism is something different. Like communism is something violent, and socialism is completely something different. But I just don't see it that way.
Let me tell you why some people feel that way, and I feel that way. Because socialism and communism have killed millions and tens of millions of people around the world. And it's not just through wars, it's through economic policies, and that is the root of socialism and communism. It is a socio-economic system. So when you decide that you're in Russia and you are going to nationalize all farming and you're going to central plant it, and when this thing goes abysmally wrong and they can't grow enough wheat to feed their own people and millions of people die, I want you to listen to that, Sarah. Millions of people died because of these ideas. That's a harsh fact.
Did you know that we have 2 million homeless people wandering around? And about, like, what is it, the people that freeze to death in America every winter?
How many of those people are provided charity by churches and by organizations or by donations from people like me?
Yeah, but you know what? There's a lot of people freeze to death every year. It's like 50 to 60 people.
Right.
And
is it tens of millions, Sarah? Is it tens of millions? In 10 years, is it tens of millions of people who die because of policies?
Well, the capitalist policy is that people are starving and freezing to death right here in America. They're starving children in America. How well do you think capitalism works?
How many, let's talk numbers. How many people do you think are dying in the streets and starving here compared to any socialist country? I'll let you choose your socialist country.
Venezuela. Let's talk Venezuela.
Yeah, Venezuela. It's a good one.
No, I'd like to know how many homeless people are living in your own community. Do you know how many homeless people are in your own community? And when was the last time that you went around soliciting people to, donate to them or bring them in, I mean, we are the change that we want to see. So if you want to see change, then get out in your community and start helping the homeless.
And we'll give Sarah time to respond. Sarah, take a piece of paper, write down your thoughts, and respond to Heather's questions when we come back here on Free Talk Live, 855 450 free.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-959-5928. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-959-5928. That's 1-800-959-5928. 1-800-959-5928.
Winter has just begun, and are you already tired of being cold? How would you like to never be cold again? This is Dale with Fortress Clothing, and I'm here to tell you, you will never be cold again with Fortress. If you're tired of freezing your butt off, elk hunting, sitting in a tree stand deer hunting, winter camping, fishing, ice fishing, no longer fear the cold. If you snowmobile, ski, snowboard, get Fortress. Sledding with the kids, shoveling the walks, shopping, or if you or your spouse get cold feet at home, get Fortress. If you're stuck outside working in the cold or find yourself in an emergency situation, get our winter bug out bag and you will never be cold again. Fortress is the answer, so quit complaining and go to fortressclothing.com. It's a mid-layer garment that goes with anything you want to wear. Enter coupon code RADIO and get 20% off any item. Go now while we still have inventory. fortressclothing.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are 1. Share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll go back to the phones here in just a second. But got a question for you real quick. Have you ever wanted to start your own blog or your own website, but you've not really been able to put your idea into action? Well, you're in luck because HostGator, one of the top hosting companies out there, is offering a special deal to Free Talk Live listeners. Go to HostGator.com/FTL and you will get 50% off their regular prices. Hosting your own website or blog can be intimidating, but HostGator makes it easy. HostGator offers a simple one-click easy installation for WordPress. They've got 24/7 over-the-phone or live chat tech support and a very intuitive and user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation and the simplicity of use into your hands, the customer. HostGator has 99.99% uptime rating, so you don't have to worry about outages. To get the special 50% off for Free Talk Live listeners, go to HostGator.com/FTL. In studio, it's Darryl, Heather, and Chris, and we go back to Sarah calling in from Albuquerque. Now, Sarah, Heather had asked you some questions in the last segment. Heather, do you care to repeat the questions?
Sure. I had asked you if you knew how many, you're from Albuquerque, right? So how many homeless people are in Albuquerque? Do you know the number? And I'm just curious as to, what you've done, if anything, in order to raise awareness for those members of your community.
One of the things, we have around 5,000 homeless people. And the awareness is that, I talk about homeless issue here and there. I have been formerly homeless for 10 years, so I know what it's like. So, but the thing is, Darryl, you have mentioned that, why can't we just collect money, raise our own money out of our own pockets to build, for example, a homeless shelter for women, youth shelter.
Charities are already doing things like that across the country.
Right.
And I think a lot of more people would donate if they knew the reality of these issues in their own communities. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't realize just how many homeless people are living in their backyard. But maybe if somebody like you went around raising more awareness, you could actually solicit more money and take care of the problem.
Yeah, but my question is, what more money? Most Americans are living from paycheck to paycheck. They're just barely getting by.
I don't know. Every year there's billions of dollars that political campaigns raise. So
right, but there are a lot of people that are living paycheck to paycheck, and just imagine how much more disposable income they would have, Sarah, if Uncle Sam wasn't taking damn near a quarter of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing is, so what are they doing with it? They're taking a quarter of the tax dollars, and what are they doing? Half of it is spent on war, killing brown children around the world.
Yeah, and that's absolutely horrible. I don't support any form of taxation, Sarah. None of it. And I've explained this before. I don't care if somebody comes over and steals my money and then says, but I'm giving it to my grandma. No, that's still theft. It doesn't matter what good or what bad thing Uncle Sam does with money that they steal from me, it is still theft.
And I want to bring up one point, too, and that is, say, federal funding of homeless shelters. Okay, let's say we're being taxed, and they're taking that money and they're building homeless shelters. You and I would agree that that's a good thing. But the problem is for every dollar that gets churned through the grinder in D.C., actually maybe 40 cents of that, 30 cents of that may actually make it to the project that it was earmarked for. Because
it's closer to like 25 or 30%.
Yeah. So, isn't that like stealing too? If we were to give, if I wanted to give $1, towards the homeless problem, or $100 or $1,000, I want all of that money to go there. I don't want it to be paid to a bunch of bureaucrats in D.C.
Right. And by contrast, the nonprofits that do things like this, they wind up having maybe 20 to 25% of the funding go to overhead, whereas with the government, you might have 20 or 25% that actually go to the problem that they're looking to solve.
Right.
And the other difference is actually with nonprofits, when they do, because there's nonprofits out there that mishandle money just like any other agency or government. The difference is that when they're exposed, we can stop funding them. When the government drops the ball and they're not doing what they're supposed to, we can't stop paying taxes or we go to jail. So there's a layer of accountability that exists with nonprofits that tackle these issues versus when government tackles the issues.
Sarah, any final thought?
They're squeezing blood out of a turnip because families are going in debt trying to send their kids to college. The kids are going into debt, racking up millions of, tens of thousands of student loans just to graduate college, working through college and so forth. So why do you want to say that we have to squeeze out money out of people that don't have money?
Chris, do you want to explain the education bubble and why college is so much more expensive now than it was 20 years ago?
I'll just try to summarize it, and we're not going to make this completely clear, but the government guarantees loans. So our education system now has no incentive to reduce its costs. It has no incentives to compete. Therefore, the cost of an education continues to rise and rise and rise. This is the result of the programs that you espouse. This is socialized higher education. And this is what happens. We've eliminated the profit motive from these. We've eliminated competition. So this is the result you get. I'm not advocating for any one singular solution to any one particular problem. And you bring up point problems. You say homeless. You say traffic. You say this. I say that the whole system, top to bottom, is screwed up, and we need to pull our heads out of our butts and rethink the entire thing. And it is, I hate to, you're not going to like my answer, but it is this socialist thinking that it brings out these unintended consequences. I have no doubt, Sarah, of all the people I've ever talked to on this show, your heart is in the right place. I know that. I know that you care deeply about people.
I mention one thing. Darryl always said, "It's still theft, even if you're giving it to your grandmother." But, have you ever thought that all the people that you're helping that need help, people that are disabled, people that are...
Sarah, the people that I'm helping aren't stealing my damn money. The people that I'm helping, I'm putting the dollar in the bucket myself.
Right.
So, no, it doesn't matter. It does not matter what good thing you do after you mug me. You have still committed a crime, and you have still stolen from me.
And you've taken money.
It matters not one bit what wonderful thing you do. It is still theft.
Hold on. What makes you think that you're going to get old and you're going to need Social Security? Is there a law that
I don't want Socialist Security.
I don't either.
I don't want it.
I'd rather just keep my money and save for it.
So when you turn 65, you will receive it, whether you like it or not.
No. If you want to receive Social Security, you have to fill out government forms to wind up getting it. And I don't think it's going... One, I don't think it's going to exist when I'm 65.
Right.
And two, if it is, I'm not going to fill out the forms. So, no, they're not just going to send it to me. And even if they do, that does not justify the theft that occurred, that, I'm forced to participate in this Ponzi scheme. No, it's horrible. It's theft. Sarah, thank you for the call. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And speaking of theft, what about a universal basic income? Chris has that story and your thoughts. This is Free Talk Live.
Attention citizens, this man has received national attention for accurately predicting every major financial trend, including the market crash of 2008. His name is Harry Dent, and in his newly released book, he is making even bigger and bolder predictions that have the potential to devastate the world economy and your personal wealth. You can get a free copy of Harry Dent's bestseller, The Sale of a Lifetime, containing never-before published information by simply visiting www.saleofalifetime.com/free book. Again, that's saleofalifetime.com/free book.
Fully cooked, ready-to-eat bacon. I'm talking thick, meaty, center-cut presidential bacon. Savory and delicious. I buy some, I use some, I store some. Awesome. No refrigeration needed with a 10-year shelf life. NASA pack technology. Bacon. Fully cooked, fully hydrated, ready to eat right from the packed bacon or warm and served. Life-saving, ready-to-eat bacon. 10-year shelf life bacon. Ships free at fullycookedbacon.com. Fullycookedbacon.com.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
Besides, we just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And Chris, you've got a story about universal basic income.
Yeah, we're just going to keep going along with stories about things that give me ice cream headaches. This is another one of those.
So, real quickly, Heather, do you know what universal basic income is?
I do not. Please.
You do not.
Sure. Well, universal basic income means maybe the world would be a better place if we just paid everyone,
To
like the
exist.
government, paid them enough to get by. In other words, I want to pay you enough money, the government says, to pay for your groceries and maybe your gas and your
housing, clothing.
Yeah, just the basics.
So that you're able to survive and you don't have to work.
But that's not what they claim. They say, that is sort of your safety net. That is, now you're free to you're in a position where you could work. And they'll claim that you'll be more likely to
follow
work.
your dream.
Exactly.
And your dream could be sitting around playing video games all day long.
Right.
So who's got to actually work for this money that's being
Nobody
dished out?
has to work.
So it's
but
going to
people
come
will
out of
just
thin air?
choose to work.
It's just going to come out of thin air like here?
That is where our money comes from, right?
It's like Halloween candy, right? No one buys it. It just ends up in the bowl.
No, it comes from printing presses. It comes from fractional reserve banking, our Federal Reserve System. I'm going to get into this story and we'll address some of these
where's
questions.
this come from?
This is coming to us from Reason magazine.
Okay.
And this popped up, and there's 5 or 6 stories out there in various news. I'm just bumbling
Various
along here.
news outlets have reported.
Thank you. And there's a couple different things going on. There's a U.S.-based pilot that's being talked about and a Kenyan-based. So the headline of this is a privately funded experiment in a universal basic income. Dozens of villages in Kenya will soon be receiving payments. This is from Jesse Walker at Reason Magazine. A U.S.-based group is preparing a pilot program in Kenya that will test the effects of a universal basic income, the increasingly popular concept of giving virtually everyone in a community unconditional payments on a regular basis. Unlike past large-scale experiments of this sort, this one is being run and funded privately. The organization behind the effort is Give Directly, a charity whose work in Africa is based on the idea of giving people cash without restrictions on how the money can be spent. The underlying anti-paternal principle is that the needy know their needs better than outsiders do.
But, Chris, wouldn't it just be better if Uncle Sam came along and said, I really like what you're planning here, so I'm going to take all of this money from you, and then I will oversee it?
Yeah, we'll have to regulate that somehow. And the story continues. That outlook led naturally to an interest in the basic income, and so the organizers conceived a randomized control trial. And this is how it would work. In one set of villages, every adult will receive monthly payments equivalent to about 75 cents a day for 2 years. Before people scoff, that is considered a living wage in the areas that they're talking about. 2, in another set of villages, every adult will receive such payment for 12 years. In yet another set of villages, the adults will receive a single lump sum payment equivalent to what the 2-year group will be receiving. And the last set of villages is the control group, so they don't get any money at all. The aim here, Giving Directly's Ian Bassine explains, is, quote, to isolate the effects of what most people consider a basic income, that is, a permanent payment over time, from something resembling more traditional temporary supports. For example, when someone knows they have a long-term guaranteed floor below which they can never fall, do they take more risks, like starting a business, or do they go back to school? And does that security produce greater overall returns?
Or do they just decide, I don't have to do anything because everything's being provided for me?
I'm buying an Xbox.
I'm buying an Xbox and
So
Netflix.
this study's going on right now.
They're getting ready to ramp it up. The current plan is for 41 villages to go on the 12-month plan, 80 to go on the 2-year plan, 80 to get the lump sums, and 100 to be in the control group.
I'd hate to be in the control group.
Yep. The size of each category. Actually, I would want to be in the control group. The size of each category could shrink if Give Directly doesn't hit its fundraising target.
All right, let's sort of pause here, go to the phones. We will come back to this discussion about universal basic income. We've got Charlie calling in from Arizona, listening to K-Talks. Charlie, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, hi, guys. I hope I'm not committing a microaggression against Heather by using the term I'm an old man. I still address business owners to dear sirs. But God saved me from a life in Sarastan under President Gaga. The only thing that make it better is you could have James for Minister of Justice. The reason I called
You're scaring me, Charlie.
Well,
I would say, but because of that, I don't want to ever go to the Southwest. But I've already got a plan to go to Phoenix next month, so I'm not changing the plans.
I'm rural. I mean, Phoenix is the armpit, Arizona, as far as I'm concerned. But no, Sarah skitters around like a drop of water on a griddle. I can't keep up. But the reason I called, I don't know if you got my message. My phone service has been real bad this week. But do you remember in like Circle K's and 7-Elevens, they used to have like a Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket by the Lions Club? You know, that's who sponsored that, I believe, where you could drop off your old and your old prescription
eyeglasses.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lions
right.
Club, sure.
And then there's always like the donate your penny sort of thing.
It would be an excellent way to get these smartphones to those people in Sierra Leone and elsewhere. The price is so low. I mean, you can get an actual smartphone for $20 new.
Yeah.
And I have this one phone that's it has Android KitKat 4.5, and it doesn't even need a SIM card to operate. You can't use it as a phone, but if you have a hotspot, everything else on that cute little computer functions.
Yeah. So as long as you've got a Wi-Fi signal, and that's one of the problems about some parts of Africa,
I'm sure
is
there would be
reliable
but even
internet.
People that have let's say they have internet access, you can turn a lot of these devices into their own hotspot. It would be like an ink blot.
Yep.
Slowly spreading. The only concern would be propaganda. That's the only scary thing. But yeah, I think that I'd be more than willing to help. But why should there be a bucket in Circle K? Liberty Radio Network or Free Talk Live. Drop your old cell phone here.
Very cool idea.
It's a good idea, but I'll tell you that me, Ian, and Mark, we've got a bunch of other things on our plate, so we aren't going to be able to be the ones that head this up. But if somebody wanted to do it,
I put it out there for whoever might.
Whoever's listening that might be able to do it.
We already nominated Heather to head this up, so.
Oh, God, I've got a lot on my plate, too, though.
Second, Darryl?
Well, we all do. I mean, it's we're in a big fight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks for the call, Charlie.
Everyone can play a role. Everyone listening.
Yep.
Thanks for the call. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450 free. More on this universal basic income test that's happening. Where was it? Somewhere in Kenya, I think.
Kenya.
855-450 free.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, call the following number for a free 10-minute guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-945-1063. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-945-1063. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-945-1063. That's 1-800-945-1063.
Will the government protect your family from Iran and North Korea's newest weapon, EMP? We buy guns to protect ourselves, home, health, and car insurance for accidents. Maybe you also have food storage. But how would you keep your refrigerator running in a long-term EMP blackout? Using tested military designs, the Solarc EMP-hardened solar generator protects and powers your critical appliances for years without burying items underground or wrapping them in aluminum foil. Unlike other preps, Solarc is used every day to help offset your electric bill automatically. Visit PortableSolarLLC.com to learn how easily expandable the system is. Solarc is the most affordable and powerful solution on the market. The whole system even fits in the back of a pickup or SUV and can install in less than an hour. See for yourself why Solarc beats other off-grid systems at PortableSolarLLC.com. Don't wait for the government. Go to PortableSolarLLC.com to learn why Solarc is energy insurance for your family.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is $3 lower at $1,171 per ounce. Silver is 12 cents lower at $17.06 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $768 US. Consider giving the gift of silver. It never wears out, always has value, and they will always remember who gave it. For a variety of options, call us at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. We've been talking about communism and universal basic income and other problems of socialism. And, well, you know that healthcare in the United States is all messed up. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Sure, health insurance pays for treating sickness, but it gives you nothing for being healthy. Doesn't that actually incentivize illness instead of health? Well, there is a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from insurance. Health Excellence Select. Let me say that again. HealthExcellenceSelect.com. They give you a proactive health assessment daily and no-charge 24-hour access to doctors. HIPAA has messed up medical records so much that one doctor doesn't know what the other doctors are doing. How about a medical information card to give to EMS, first responders, emergency room, or whatever medical professional you want? Check them out right now, healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You will love the service and the price. healthexcellenceselect.com. Back to Chris on the story about the universal basic income that's being, what exactly are they testing? They're doing like a scientific test.
It really is, and it's, to recap,
voluntarily funded.
Correct. Privately funded, voluntarily funded. The plan is to do a variety of experiments in 41 villages in Kenya, some which will get so much money a day, 75 cents a day for 2 years. Another set of villages will get 75 cents a day for 12 years. Some will get a lump sum to equivalent to the 2 year, and some will get none whatsoever. And to recap again, 75 cents a day is a living wage over there.
Yes.
And they just want to see kind of what happens when this thing goes live and as they watch it. And I am in favor of this experiment. Let me repeat that. In favor of this experiment, because I believe it will prove my beliefs to be exactly right, in that if people are guaranteed a income and have no requirement to work, like is what is done in our socialist systems here in the United States through welfare and through other programs like that, that they will not be inspired to go out and seize their dream. They will realize that they can live just fine without working.
Now, do these people know that they're part of like a study, or are they just being handed the money? And
no, I would imagine it would be very difficult to keep like what's going on from them, and they will know that. And there are a set of rules too.
Let's go over the set of rules, because I was starting to wonder the same thing of, if I know I'm in some sort of psychological study, I'm going to respond differently than if I don't.
Right. So the first thing, and this is basically where we left off, the size of each category could shrink if Give Directly doesn't hit its fundraising target. And to answer the first question that probably popped into your minds, no, a villager can't change which deal he's getting by moving from one town to another. Once enrollment has started in a village, no new arrivals can take advantage of the payments there. Conversely, if you've already enrolled in the program, you still get money if you leave your village. After all, one potential outcome the researchers want to look at is whether people will use their payments to move somewhere with greater opportunity.
Okay.
But they can't move just to get greater guaranteed income.
You can't move from the you're not getting anything village to I just got $1,000 village.
Or I can't move.
Well, you could move there, but you wouldn't get the $1,000.
You wouldn't get the benefit of that. The group expects the experiment to cost about $30 million, and they have thus far raised around $23 million towards that. The lump sum payments are being funded separately, with the money coming from Give Directly's ongoing efforts in Kenya. They expect the cost there to be a little higher than $6 million, which is well within the group's usual annual budget. One village in the 12-year group is already receiving funds, sort of a test case, to work out any logistical kinks in advance. If all goes according to plan, the rest will start receiving their money early next year. So, as I said, there were a couple different stories, and I couldn't find the one, Darryl, I wanted to bring in, but that was a similar experiment, except it was going to take place in San Francisco, and it was going to involve a couple $1,000, or in the San Francisco area, a couple $1,000 to a very small group of people, something like $100, a population of 100. Just say, here's $2,000.
Yeah, I found an article from QZ.com that mentions this, but doesn't go into specifics.
Yeah.
But there's a group called the Economic Security Project, ESP, which is a loose coalition of technologists, investors, and activists who announced on December 8th that they committed $10 million over the next 2 years to explore how a basic income could ensure economic opportunity for all in the United States. And more than 100 people, ranging from the head of top Silicon Valley startup fund Y Combinator to leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement, signed the group's statement of beliefs, saying it aims to make our economy work again for all Americans.
It doesn't work that way. How many times do we have to explain basic math to these people? Pretty soon you're going to run out of other people's money to steal because nobody else is going to be working and contributing to pay for this stuff. It absolutely drives me nuts.
Right.
But with, the Bernie Sanders campaign, this is not a slam against Bernie specifically, but it sort of is. We're hearing a lot more talk about universal basic income. And the thing that is just driving me nuts is, well, with all the advances that we're seeing technologically and with robots going to replace us all in our jobs, we'll have all this free time. Well, maybe it would make sense to have a universal basic income. It's like, no, figure out how to build or repair robots. That's what you do when robots take your job. You figure out, okay, what else can I do in this new economy? Because the only constant thing is change.
And we've already seen stories about places like Seattle where the whole fight for 15 wound up, quote unquote, succeeding, where a lot of the fast food restaurants are now installing the automated kiosk. And then I remember not long after the wage increase, and it didn't jump straight to 15. It's one of these tiered things, so it's not even at $15 per hour yet in Seattle. But you've got fast food workers that started asking their boss for fewer hours because they were going to start losing their benefits.
Right.
I think that's what you're probably going to see in Africa. They start out at 75 cents a day, but then it's not enough. And next thing you know, they're like the workers in Seattle that are complaining about their $10 an hour when people in Africa are grateful for 75 cents per day. So, it really kind of, puts things into perspective when you look at it like that.
Chris, I know you used to live in Pennsylvania, so you're familiar with this gas station chain called Sheetz.
Oh, very well. I miss it.
And what do they have? And they've had for decades. They've got
like
computer kiosks. Touch screen where you put your order in yourself.
I love it.
And it saves them money because then they don't have to pay somebody to stand there to take orders. They've got the cash register person that is running the cash register for the entire gas station.
Right.
And they've got 1 or 2 people that are cooking the food.
Right. And you've got a line of like 9 touch screens where you can order hot food, breakfast, sandwiches, subs, salads, anything, coffee, anything you can imagine. You key it in on your little touch screen, it spits out a little receipt, and pretty soon somebody yells, number 91. And
you don't have to worry about, food. They don't have the smoothie that I want on their menu. Nope, just put it in. You want peanut butter and Greek yogurt and whatever, just, key it in. It's mix and match. You have it your way. It's even better than McDonald's and Burger King because you really can, do whatever you want to with the hot dog.
Yeah, and for the company, it saves them on labor, but they're also able to do innovative things. I mean, when they decide that they want to roll out some crazy new product, they're not printing up hundreds of signs to go into their hundreds of stores. They're going to their web guys and saying, okay, you need to reprogram the kiosks.
Yeah.
So it offers this choice as like,
okay, done. I thought you said this was going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Now, I had a conversation the other day online about somebody was arguing that that technology takes jobs from people, and that's something that even this guy with the kiosk, every dollar that he saves not paying employment, he's going to go and spend in the economy elsewhere, creating jobs wherever it is he spends that money. So the jobs are still there. They're just changing.
This is the whole seen versus the unseen. It's the candle makers petition all over again. Right. We'll talk about that and your calls and thoughts. Hour 3 coming up next, 8:55, 450 free. This is Free Talk Live.
You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. healthexcellenceselect.com. healthexcellenceselect.com.
If you had one day to teach someone economics, what would you say? We would say that innovation and prosperity requires economic freedom. Visit fee.org/courses and check out Economics in One Day, a crash course in free market economics that you can present to your community. For over 70 years, the Foundation for Economic Education has been a champion of liberty. Start today at no charge by visiting fee.org/courses and learn why economic freedom matters.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, December 8th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.19 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,178 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 0.7 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $771. Antiwar.com reports Iraqi warplanes have attacked a crowded marketplace in the town of Al-Qaim on Wednesday, killing at least 55 civilians along with 8 the Islamic State militants, according to the source at the local hospital. Al-Qaim is the last town in the Anbar province that remains under control of the Islamic State. The hospital reported that there were 3 strikes against the market and that at least 55 civilians were slain, including at least 12 women and 19 children. Officials at the hospital, along with local members of parliament, described the attack as a massacre against innocent civilians. Anbar Province Member of Parliament Mohammed Karbuli said the civilian toll might be in excess of 60 when all is said and done, confirming that some of his relatives were among the slain. He demanded an immediate investigation by the Prime Minister and to hold accountable those responsible. Karbuli complained that intelligence on Al-Qaim was clearly not good if they attacked a marketplace that crowded, and insisted that killing a handful of terrorists at the cost of scores of civilians could not be justified. When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.xyz, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.xyz today to find out more. UPI reports 2 juveniles have been charged with starting the historic wildfires that killed more than a dozen people in Tennessee this month, according to authorities on Wednesday. Investigators said the teenagers were arrested and charged with aggravated arson. Neither their names, ages, or genders were disclosed, though. The fires were Tennessee's worst in decades and destroyed nearly 2,000 homes and other structures. At least 14 people died and 150 others were hurt as the result of fires in Sevier County. It was not clear whether the teens might face additional charges such as murder or manslaughter, although prosecutors could try them both as adults. Prosecutor James Dunn said everything is on the table. Officials said the 2 will have a detention hearing within the next 3 days. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Republican senators are leaning towards a plan to delay the effective date of an Obamacare repeal for 3 years, according to a senior Republican on Wednesday. But some conservatives in the House of Representatives think that is too long to wait for the end to the Affordable Care Act, the official name of President Barack Obama's signature health insurance program. Senator Orrin Hatch, chairman of that chamber's Finance Committee, told reporters, in the Senate there's consensus for 3 years, saying it could take that long to work out a replacement for Obamacare, adding it takes time to get things done around here. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said Republicans in the House and the Senate say they want to repeal Obamacare early in 2017, saying it will be the first order of business in the Senate in January. Donald Trump's election as U.S. president last month means Republicans will control the White House, Senate, and U.S. House of Representatives in 2017. The new Congress goes to work on January 3rd. Trump will be sworn in on January 20th. But Republicans have not agreed on how quickly the Obamacare repeal should go into effect. A delay would give them time to work on a replacement instead of throwing millions of Americans out of their health insurance programs with no substitute. Some House conservatives favor phasing out Obamacare and getting a replacement within 2 years because 3 years would not lapse until after the next congressional election, with the attendant uncertainty about who will be the majority at that time. Ben Williamson, spokesman for Representative Mark Meadows, the incoming leader of the Freedom Caucus, said there's a potential that some members of the Freedom Caucus might vote against repeal if the replacement was going to be beyond 2 years. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Caitlin Taggart was a beautiful, lively girl who loved laughing and playing outside, but all that changed at the age of 12. Caitlin slipped into a persistent vegetative state, confining her almost entirely to her bed and Facebook.
She doesn't even have basic motor functions anymore. We literally have to drag her to the car to drive her to school in the morning.
She's totally unresponsive when we talk to her. Her eyes just roll back in her head.
Caitlin, honey, it's your dad.
With no hope that their daughter would ever recover, the Taggarts decided to seek legal permission to end Caitlin's life.
It is the most difficult decision we've ever had to make, but we just keep reminding ourselves that the real Caitlin is already gone. That's just her body texting.
We give her one painless injection, and that's it. Her eyes may flutter a bit, or she may murmur, "Are you for real killing me right now?"
This is the Onion News Network. Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, kicking off hour number 3 in studio tonight. It's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris. Just say no.
To what?
Everything. That's my new position.
Okay,
Do not
I'm going to start calling you Nancy.
Please do. Please do. And just please, people, don't enjoy your lives. Don't put anything into your body, even though you're harming no one else, and you may enjoy it, because these things will lead you to wanting to date jazz musicians, for example. I've read that.
Yeah, it could also...
Reefer madness.
Could also, in a lot of places, wind up leading you to be standing in front of a judge.
It could.
I was actually in court earlier today, not as a plaintiff or defendant. I was there
just for the
observing.
Fun of it. Okay.
Not for the fun of it,
but
per
somebody
se.
else was getting.
There was one of the newer movers to the Keene area that had court. Not in Keene, but the next municipality or next county over. And he was trying some legal theories, shall we say. And I wanted to see how this played out.
Right.
And person after person, either driving after revocation of license or possession of cannabis or both. There was, I think, 1 or 2 people that got pulled over for drunk driving. There was 1 person that was in there for a domestic dispute. That individual had to pay a $250 fine. All of the people with cannabis possession charges, $500 fine. Well,
wow.
$1,200, $700 of it suspended, and their jail time suspended, so they wound up having to pay $500 plus court costs.
Well, to think of how many lives were saved, because marijuana can kill you.
If you beat your sister, which was the case here, the guy assaulted his sister, he only had to pay a $250 fine. But the people that were possessing a plant, $500 fine plus like 6 months sentence that was suspended for 2 years of good behavior.
Yeah,
you've got to be a good little boy for the next 2 years. Otherwise, we will throw you in jail for 6 months because you had a plant.
And all kidding aside, this is one of those things that just destroys people's lives, and it
destroys people's lives because it's illegal.
Yes, it doesn't destroy their lives because it is dangerous to them. And I will say that there may be some risks that go along with smoking marijuana, like smoking anything else. If you're taking something that's burning the exhaust from that into your lungs, yeah, there could be some damage there, but it's to you. And
as someone that's actually smoked marijuana, I can honestly say a bottle of wine will get me so much more messed up than marijuana. And I love my wine and I love my marijuana. So.
Well, sometimes you probably love them both together. You know, what the heck? It's a nice little mix.
Marijuana.
But yeah, and what we've done is thank you to the war on drugs, is we've attempted to criminalize every possible political opponent of Richard Nixon. That's how this whole ball of wax got started. Associate the blacks with heroin.
I think they call
hippies.
that crackle now.
Yeah.
The ball of wax.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah.
Or dabs.
Dabs. Yeah.
I get those two confused.
And associate everyone associated with the hippie movement with marijuana, and then tell everybody about how many lives are going to be lost because of this. And Nixon and Ehrlichman and Haldeman, they had a good plan, and it really worked. The problem was it didn't end with Richard Nixon's time in office. It continues to this day, and it's just time that it has to end.
And, sort of the ironic part of this whole thing, earlier this week, we celebrated the end of alcohol prohibition.
Right.
But yet there's still other forms of prohibition. But I remember learning, and Heather, you probably did too, and Chris, you probably did as well, learned in high school 20 plus years ago that...
Thank you for pointing out my age again. Well, it's usually something like this.
I had my 20-year reunion this past summer, so it was 20 plus years ago for me.
Usually Darryl or Mark will say something like, when I was in high school and you were in high school, and Chris, when you were in... you lived through this. I'm like, really? It was the 1930s. Come on.
But anyway, I remember being taught, and I'm fairly certain you were as well, the failures of alcohol prohibition.
Yeah, let's go over them.
Which is why the 21st Amendment wound up getting passed, to wind up repealing prohibition so that people would be safer.
Let that sink in for a second. This thing was such an epic disaster because it increased crime rates, it killed people, it basically created the mafia, created organized crime. It outlawed something that people wanted. We went back and amended our Constitution to do away with it because we had to amend it in the first place to get it there. But that Constitution in 200 and how many years? 40-some years?
Something like that.
Has been amended only 27 times. That may sound like a big number, but it's really not, given that period of time, and considering the first 10 of those amendments were written pretty much when we wrote the Constitution.
Well, 12 of them were written then.
Right.
The first 10 got passed then, and one of them passed 200 and some odd years later.
Yeah, just not long
ago. Now, by
ago.
comparison, the Constitution for the state of Alabama, which was ratified in 1901, has been amended somewhere near 700 times.
Wow. They must have a very easy way to amend it.
Yeah, no, what I was going to say is having been in high school fairly recently in comparison to you guys.
Jeez, here we go.
I was never taught about the failures of alcohol prohibition. Not only was I never taught about it, but we actually were taught a program. I'll remember I was in 6th grade at the time, and it was called DARE, which stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education. And they had a state police officer come into the room, and they had this little board that all these little plastic cubes, and each one had a different drug in it. And one of the drugs in one of the cubes was marijuana. And they went around kind of like putting that fear in everybody's mind that they're all just as bad. So lo and behold, my generation was the age of technology where we had computers at our fingertips and we kind of had access to the opposing view to the
Google
idea that these were bad, but.
And that's another problem with it is you take some drugs are more benign than others.
Exactly.
And marijuana is a pretty darn benign, or cannabis or any of the other compounds that are in it. And then you're saying to kids that
it's just as bad as heroin.
Exactly.
And then they try marijuana and they realize it's not so bad, and then they make that assumption, well, then this isn't so bad either because you've lied, essentially. Right. You know what I mean?
You lost your credibility.
And the claim is, well, marijuana is a gateway drug. Well, there's actually been studies that have been done that show that no, it's actually licit substances such as tobacco and alcohol that serve as the real gateway towards other things, specifically illicit substances. There was a study done by the University of Florida a couple of years ago, and that was the background statement of their abstract.
See, I can hear him already. Then if you make marijuana illicit, then it will truly become a gateway drug by your own admission. Is that not true, Mr. Perry?
The purpose of this investigation, according to them, was to determine which drugs, alcohol, tobacco, or marijuana, was the actual gateway leading to additional substance use among a nationally representative sample of high school seniors. Results from the Gutman scale indicated that alcohol represented the gateway drug leading to the use of tobacco, marijuana, and other substances. Moreover, students who used alcohol exhibited a significantly higher likelihood of using both licit and illicit substances. Conclusion: the finding from this investigation supports that alcohol should receive primary attention in school-based substance abuse prevention programs, as the use of other substances could be impacted by delaying or preventing alcohol use.
But then I look at whole societies that have grown up with alcohol as like sort of core to their lives, and a lot of the like European nations, like almost every European country, and the difference I think is
here's wine with your bagel.
Yeah, that it becomes no big deal. It's just part of life. It's like if they put the scare tactics into drinking milk, we'd probably see that as a gateway drug, too, because it's something...
Then you'd see that group of people willing to throw you in cages if you drink a glass of milk.
I've heard that 100% of serial killers drink milk as babies.
Yep. There you go.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. Your calls and thoughts welcome.
The young lady from the rescue delivered happy, and I panicked. He was missing hair, stinky, scabby, and I thought, what did I get us into? The cause of his issue was poor nutrition. It was neglect. The other owners didn't care enough about him to give him the nutrition he needed. But I have a vet that I trust, and she recommended Dinovite, DINOVITE.com. I ordered the first 90-day supply, and within a couple weeks, his skin started clearing up. He didn't smell. He had more energy. He just had a glow and a bounce about him. We've been using Dinovite for the last year, and Happy the rescue dog is Happy the healthy dog. I tell all my friends who have rescues to give their dog the chance at a new start with Dinovite. It's going to pay off for you and your dog for years to come.
859-428-1000. 859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
Hello?
Congratulations.
For what?
For losing all that weight. How'd you do it so fast?
ASAP.
ASAP what? What's that mean?
Are you ready to get as skinny as possible, as soon as possible, as simple as possible, and as sexy as possible?
I'm listening.
Then get with the ASAP program. It's real and it works. No smooth talk, no slick advertising, and no exaggerated claims of success.
I've got to know more.
Welcome to ASAP, as slim as possible. Whether you have 10, 20, or 50 pounds to lose, ASAP is your weight loss answer. ASAP targets the abnormal fat reserves and makes them available to be burned as fuel and contains no caffeine or hormones. Order ASAP at wholesale prices or join the team to share the business with others. Visit GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. Lose weight and look great with ASAP, as slim as possible.
because we are smothering in spam, please do not reply to all when you can instead reply. I was recently among over 100 invited to a corporate reunion. It's always a warm affair, and that's the problem. Enthusiasm for our upcoming get-together caused many recipients to RSVP the organizer with a cheery reply to all. I can't wait. Then others piled on with a reply to all to that. Then the "I'm out of my office now" autoresponders joined in. So I replied to all, asking that we all reply only to the organizer. Hey, at least I tried. One invitee, apparently retired, shot back, "Point taken, but I really like seeing the responses since they're so positive." Smiley face. This better be an open bar. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. And I want to invite you to try my pillow. No, not my pillow. Like, you don't get to come take my pillow, but you can use my pillow, and you can do so risk-free for 60 days. My pillow, that's the name of the pillow. My Pillow is designed to fit to the shape of your body and hold your neck in the proper position. I've been using it for a few months. Chris has actually had one for a couple of years.
You bet.
And I'll say it's the best pillow I've ever used. Chris, do you agree?
Absolutely.
And unlike a regular pillow that's collected a lot of dead skin and dirt over the years, you can actually put My Pillow in the washing machine and then in the dryer, and it's still usable. It doesn't turn into just a lump. Go to mypillow.com, use code FTL, and get your very own MyPillow at half price, or get a second MyPillow free of charge. And remember, if you don't like it in the first 60 days, you get your money back, and the pillow itself is guaranteed to last 10 years. MyPillow.com, code FTL. Chris? Didn't you have something that we were discussing, or we were going to get into the story that you had pulled up?
No, I mean, we had last
we were talking about gateway drugs, alcohol, cannabis.
Yeah, well, we were talking originally about the universal minimum wage, or basic wage.
Right, universal basic income.
Yeah, and we had pretty much covered that article. It's just the question of, when will this thing be tried again? Now, one of the provinces in Canada,
I think you said Prince Edward Island?
Yes, which is the smallest province in Canada, I guess recently voted to do something or to further explore going down this path. I just, for the life of me, this is almost like sort of, to me, the end game of what socialist a socialist society would look like, where, okay, now we're just paying you. We'll continue to tax whatever we can, but everybody who doesn't want to work, it's very much a Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged sort of world.
I mean, do you think
at that
these
point.
people as kids were the kind of kids that their parents just gave them everything anyway, that they never actually had to do anything good? They didn't have to do chores. They didn't have to have good behavior. They could be...
Yeah,
I mean?
the people that I think are the biggest
Advocates?
supporters and advocates of assistance today are most likely those ones who never really worked really hard, and maybe and sadly it's generational too. I mean, we're dealing with a third or fourth generation of basically what I consider institutionalized folks. I mean.
Right. So let's actually look at this a little bit. Now, I'm kind of in that tweener generation to where it was the people just a couple years younger than me that wound up getting the participation trophies for everything. And, not a knock against them because they didn't choose at 5 years old to hand out the participation trophies.
Right.
It was their parents, but yet it's... the generation that's just, a little older than me, that's, look at all these entitled kids, blah, blah, blah. They want participation trophies. They want that. Well, you're the one that started handing them the participation trophy.
Exactly.
For you went to the potty.
Yeah. And a lot of that was the baby boomer generation, the kind of the tail end of it. But my God, I saw something that Conan posted recently, which kind of talks about this sort of four cycles that we go through. It's like every 20 years, and how we get into these things where we're very reliant on institutions, and then we transition from that into being very against institutions, and so on and so on. But I can only hope that this is indeed cyclical, and we will wake up from it. I just, it's like put me to sleep for another 20 years and let me wake up and just pretend this whole thing was a bad dream. It's horrendous. And what upsets me is it destroys lives. It just takes everything that is good about humanity and pulverizes it. Any desire to move ahead, any desire to better yourself, it's just gone.
And we're not even really, we're like also robbing people of the opportunity to be good people. Like when you go and you force people to do something good, you're robbing them of the opportunity to actually do it. And so it's kind of like my daughter, for example, like when she does good things all the time without even having to be asked. You know what I mean? Like certain things, it's a matter of educating people and with your ideas, like her, for example, I don't force her to eat dinner. When she's like, hey, Mom, I'd rather have cookies. I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, well, guess what happens if you eat cookies every night for dinner? You're going to rot your teeth out. Your body's going to be unhealthy. And I give her the cold, hard truth. And she'll be like, okay, I guess I want to eat dinner.
But can I have a cookie
But I don't have
afterwards?
to force her to eat her. I just explain her and I give her the, people are going to pick the right option more often than not.
Yeah, and then my generation's a little bit different. Is that we would say, "What are you crazy?" No, you're going to eat
mom
your
would beat
food.
you. Eat your food.
We would tell you why, but yeah, we certainly didn't really give those choices, and hope that we were doing the right thing. And that's every generation. We all hope we're doing it right.
Well, my mom was raised in the Bible Belt, so I didn't really have those choices.
I remember when I was really young being told, there are starving children in China. You finish what's on your plate. And I'm like, but I don't want it. Can I send it to the starving kids? And, I figured, I'm killing two birds with one stone, right? Like, I didn't want to eat it. Oh, and there's a starving kid in China. Maybe he'll like this.
I can help.
But, no, I could not send my food that I didn't want to the starving kid. I had to eat it because somehow if I ate it, the starving kid in China wouldn't be starving. I don't really understand. And whenever I would ask why, it would always just be because I said so. And I hate the because I said so as a reason.
Yeah. And here's the message of what a universal basic income says to your daughter, Heather. It says, I'm going to give you this food, and I'll tell you why you should eat healthy. But you know what? When you grow up, you won't have to worry about it because whatever you want, the government will just give you. That's it. And you won't have to go to work for it. You won't have to do anything for it. They'll just give you the money, and you buy what you want. If you want to buy all cookies for dinner, that's fine.
Of course, when the government does that, the only thing she can afford will be cookies, and then her health will go to crap, and then she'll need free health care.
Right, which they'll provide too.
Yeah, they'll provide.
Right, it's one of these, spiraled sort of things.
It's a trap. It's like
we're going to break your leg and then hand you crutches, and then we'll break the crutches to hand you a wheelchair, and then we'll throw a cog in the wheel to where you can't go anywhere. And aren't you glad we're here to carry you around?
Yeah, and you use, I think, the exact right word, which is trap. It is that you have now been ensnared into a system. I can count on your votes, and that's the horrific part. The sad part is that we will come across as cruel, the cruelest people you can possibly imagine, because we don't want to just provide for those who need it, which is not at all the message of liberty. It is not that. It is, we will give you the opportunity and you'll be so much better off because you seized it yourself. We didn't hand it to you.
This is Free Talk Live. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE.
Attention citizens. This man has received national attention for accurately predicting every major financial trend, including the market crash of 2008. His name is Harry Dent, and in his newly released book, he is making even bigger and bolder predictions that have the potential to devastate the world economy and your personal wealth. You can get a free copy of Harry Dent's bestseller, The Sale of a Lifetime, containing never-before published information by simply visiting www.saleofalifetime.com/free book. Again, that's saleofalifetime.com/free book.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
Free Talk Live.
This is the first time I've heard your program. I'm hearing this person talk about what a wonderful thing it would be if we had legal drugs.
Yes,
I don't know
Sandy.
where you're getting your information from. I think you've lost your mind. I'm telling you. Oh, you don't want to hear. You don't want to hear reality.
I want to hear everything
you
you
don't
have to
want to hear
say.
reality. Okay,
Please,
well then
knock me over
stop
with
acting
reality,
like
Sandy.
a 12-year-old. You know, I'm telling you what about the war on drugs. If you see people on drugs, you might change your mind.
Man, look, my wife works at a drug treatment center, lady.
Oh, good for her.
There you go.
Good for her.
Sandy, I've smoked copious amounts of marijuana.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that a bit. That's probably what's wrong with your brain.
I've been around plenty of people that have taken
You got a
drugs,
fact
Sandy.
for me, Sandy? One of them, fact?
I don't have statistics.
Sandy, we're not asking people to smoke marijuana. We're just saying, let's not make it illegal.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital assets at once. Their best feature is the Altfolio. I love this thing. You enter how many Bitcoins, Ether, Dash, Doge, or whatever else you have, and it tells you how much your crypto is worth. You can watch yourself get rich. If you have crypto, go right now to coincap.io, or you can use the Apple Store or Google Play to get the app. I love CoinCap. coincap.io.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this hospital.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait on account. Now. Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you're scared me.
What
am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
If you're
Democrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And Chris, you brought something in about some kind of something on a Post-it note that may or may not have caused some kind of disturbance at a college campus of some sort.
Oh, I think you're trying to poke fun at this story, and I don't appreciate that, Darryl. This one, this very serious story comes to us from the Washington Times.
A very reputable media organization.
It may lean a little to the right.
They are not known for fake news at all.
No, as no one in the mainstream media is. The headline is Pro-Trump sticky note found at Wisconsin college poses, quote, no immediate threat.
Well, that's good, because
I know.
If we learned anything from Seinfeld, it's that the glue on cheap envelopes can wind up killing you.
That's true.
And sticky notes have glue of some sort on them, hence the sticky. So if you lick it and it's the cheap glue, then it will kill you, and then everybody thinks that you killed your fiance.
Yes, and they start calling you George Costanza.
So I guess it was a slow day in the newsroom then for Washington.
No, because there's hundreds of stories out like this. This is a microaggression story. It's, oh my God.
I mean, what do you think the purpose of that is? Just to distract people? Because I mean, really.
No, this is, it seems like a considerable portion of our population considers a microaggression or any act that in any way offends their mindset.
Is an act of aggression?
Is an act of aggression. So we'll get into the story.
Well, not
my mother is very aggressive with my stepfather then, because she leaves him little Post-it notes all over the house.
Oh, my God.
I'm probably the only person in this room right now that does not make fun of the whole safety pin thing.
What's the safety pin thing? I'm not following.
To let others know in a very non-obtrusive way that you, too, are very offended by the Trump presidency.
Not necessarily that you're offended by the Trump presidency. It's supposed to signify that you're a floating safe space. And the way I see it, the people that are wearing those, not to mock others, but, that are actually wearing those, it's basically a sign of, hey, I'm not a complete a-hole.
Wait, so people are wearing safety pins that signify...
To signify that they're a floating safe space.
Yes, and that they get it. They're with you.
You can come over and give me a hug, and I understand
why you...
you might be
Trump?
upset with something.
It all started right after the election.
I'm your safe space.
Yeah, this was the...
I must have missed this one.
Yeah, it's a doozy.
I haven't seen anybody wearing safety pins.
I've not
I'm
actually
scared now.
seen anybody
like
wearing
am I in a war
them.
zone?
Well, how? You got to
There's no
look.
safe spaces
you gotta
anywhere.
Look carefully for them.
I've not actually seen anybody wearing them, but I've read stories, and there's a state rep, Liberty rep here in New Hampshire, that he's been taking pictures of himself with this oversized safety pin.
I know just who you're talking about.
And he's definitely mocking the people. He's not saying I'm not an a-hole.
He's a big old safe space.
He's got a big, huge safety. The picture I saw, he had like 6 holsters filled with various handguns on it. He had that.
Yeah.
Now I feel safe. All right, let's get into this story because, my God, a Post-it note. A Catholic college called the police after finding a Post-it note with a derogatory message for President-elect Donald Trump's detractors, but police say they are not taking any action. Thank God. A parole officer...
It could have been a bomb.
What did the note say?
A parole officer and detective stopped by Edgewood College in Wisconsin in response to the sticky note, which read, "Suck it up. starts with P and ends with S, followed by a winking smiley face.
Okay.
For this, they concluded that the 3x3-inch adhesive placard posed, quote, no immediate threat, the college fix reported. A spokesperson for the Madison Police Department said the matter, quote, is not an open investigation. The mocking missive was found on a ledge on a window at Edgewood College's Office of Student Diversity and Inclusion. It coincided with a campaign on campus to encourage students to express their feelings about the general election with sticky notes.
Okay. All right. So now we're getting to something.
Yeah, tax dollars hard at work.
Somebody decided it would be a good idea to encourage college students to express themselves with sticky notes. And somebody expressed themselves with a sticky note, and then somebody else called the cops.
Exactly, because this person's feelings did not match their feelings.
This is not what I thought would happen with the free speech wall.
No, I wanted to express my feeling with sticky notes.
I can't tell you how many stories I've read, and it's definitely more than 3. But I've read numerous stories about colleges that have had free speech walls to where you can write whatever you want to on this wall.
Yes.
And then people would write things that the organizer of the free speech wall didn't like. And so then the organizer went to the president of the school and said, Mr. President, tear down this wall.
I thought that's what the bathroom stalls were for.
Yeah, back in the day. But now we have to provide a safe space. Let's see.
Free speech wall.
Tony Chambers, vice president for student development at the college, called the note a, quote, targeted act of intimidation and cowardice. He also called the police. Quote, in accordance with the policies and procedures set forth in the Edgewood College Student Code of Conduct, this incident has been reported to the Madison Police Department and is currently being investigated as a, what kind of crime, anyone?
Hate crime.
As a hate crime, unquote, Mr. Chambers said in the letter. So literally, a 3x3 sticky note. It does not give the color. I suppose some colors are probably more aggressive than others.
Yes.
I prefer your standard yellow, old school sticky note.
Did they use a Sharpie? Do we know what sort of writing utensil was used?
I don't know. But again, the message was, quote, suck it up. P starts with a P, ends with an S, followed by a winking smiley face.
Okay.
Is hate speech like assault, though?
Well, in accordance with, is currently being investigated as a hate crime. So if you need the definition of what hate crime is, all you got to do is say, suck it up, and a word that begins with P and ends with S.
Wait, how many letters?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6.
I don't know. Math is not necessarily your strong suit.
Or spelling?
And he's over here trying to spell.
It is 7. I was correct. But then I got that look from Darryl, which Darryl gives us.
Well, I was thinking of a different
word. Okay, so
word.
it's a plural word then.
It is a plural word.
So grab them by the...
Thank you. That is a great way to explain it.
I was thinking of a different word, and then when you said 7, I was totally confused because it's like, nope, the word I'm thinking of has 5 letters.
See, the first one I thought was Donald Trump's infamous little quote there, grab him by the you-know-what.
And then I was wondering why you
so
didn't
it's basically
just say
that
the word
with an
pansy.
S at the end.
Right. Yeah.
You're welcome, everybody.
Right. So was this a ballpoint pen that they were using? Was it a high-capacity marker?
I don't think they want to give out any details in case there's copycat Post-it note writers out
What sort of font were they using?
I don't know. The only clue we have there is the winking smiley face emoji at the end. So
did they write it in Comic Sans?
Would that have made a difference?
See, and everybody listening to that finds it like crazy that we're even talking about this story on the air. What's even crazier is that police were called and are actually investigating a crime having to do with a Post-it.
Yes, and I see this as it started off as sort of like a news of the weird at the local college.
Right.
And then somebody whose job it was to scan the local college newspapers for the day was like, oh, here's something we can write about at the Washington Times.
Right.
Yeah.
Your calls and thoughts welcome in the closing moments coming up. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Think you're fat? You might just be bloated. Find out by calling now for a free trial of New Biotics, the new breakthrough that flattens bloated bellies fast. For a free trial, call 1-800-967-9298. Strict limit of 1 per household.
I used to be plagued by pot belly and constant bloating. After taking New Biotics, my belly flattened and continues to get flatter. My sense of bloating and discomfort is gone.
If you've got a big belly, you might not be fat. You might just be bloated. New Biotics is scientifically formulated.
Hello?
Sorry, forgot to unmute myself. David, you there?
Yep.
All right, wanted to just test the connection, make sure you were coming across loud before I brought you on. We're in the break right now. I'll bring you on when we get out.
Cool, thank you.
967-9298. That's 1-800-967-9298. 1-800-967-9298.
What would your life be like if you woke up each morning with new vitality, feeling better than you have in years, and you noticed a difference in your sleeping patterns, blood sugar levels, and had a sense of well-being overall? There's something that is changing thousands of people's lives, and you could be one of them. It's called Heart and Body Extract. Sharon Harris, co-creator of Heart and Body Extract, talks about the positive effects of Heart and Body Extract.
What happens with the formula Heart and Body Extract is it's giving the body the necessary vitamins, minerals, amino acids, enzymes, and phytonutrients so the body will heal itself. And yes, the body does have the ability to balance blood pressure, balance cholesterol, clean and unclog the arteries. It can also work on balancing the circulation for diabetics. So the body is an amazing thing. It simply needs some help so it has the tools to heal itself.
Heart and Body Extract gets results. To order your 2-month supply, call now, toll free at 866-295-5305. Order online at hbextract.com.
Would odors, mold, and mildew describe your basement or crawl space? It doesn't have to be that way. Transform them into a fresh, healthy, usable one with the technologically advanced Wave Moisture Control Units. The computerized operation maximizes moisture control and also expels harmful radon, combustion gases, and numerous other pollutants. Dehumidifiers are old technology that do nothing for air quality and waste energy. Wave units are intelligent, self-monitoring, do not need maintenance, and will save you hundreds in electricity. Wave units are still running effectively over 15 years. They've been tested and installed in public and military housing and by property managers nationwide. Buy a unit now, and if your home is not fresher and drier, you can return it for a full refund for up to 12 months. What have you got to lose? Call now. 1-888-618-WAVE. 1-888-618-WAVE. Or visit mydryhome.com. That's mydryhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Has this election season gotten you excited about the Libertarian Party? Has it gotten you mad? Do you want to see more candidates like Gary Johnson? Or do you want to see hardline libertarians? Either way, you don't have to sit on the sidelines and complain. You can make a difference by getting involved. Free Talk Live has, believe it or not, negotiated a free membership for you in the Libertarian Party at lp.org/FTL. This is a limited time offer, so go sign up for your free membership now at lp.org/FTL.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, the closing moments of Free Talk Live. Possibly time for you if you call in now to 855-450-FREE. We will get to the phones here in just a second. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And if you have Bitcoin or are starting to think about getting Bitcoin, then I want you to download the official wallet of Free Talk Live. That's the Jax wallet. And you can get it at jax.io. That's jaxx.io. You can also find it in the App Store of your choice, the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. There's no wallet like it. You can hold Bitcoin, Ether, DAO tokens, Dash, and many more currencies are coming. There's even Shapeshift integration that allows for frictionless, easy exchange between currencies. It was created by Free Talk Live listener Anthony Diorio, who is also the creator of CryptoKit and the founder of Ethereum. It's easy to back up your wallet and recover your funds with Jax, and Jax is striving to give you command over your digital life. Coins, contracts, currencies, identity, and more. Your digital command center in the palm of your hand. Jax, the official wallet of Free Talk Live. jaxx.io. Let's go to Skype, where we've got David calling in from New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hi, yeah, I had a different subject, but listening to you guys, I decided to piggyback on something you were saying. So let me connect a few dots. I actually just got done eating my dinner, which was literally a couple pounds of fried rice, because at this point in life, it's all I can afford, literally. And I grew up on a farm where we started working as children. At about 6 years old, we were doing serious work. And by the time that we were 10 and 12, we were doing up to 14-hour days of real man's work. And then I went to college. I graduated from college, a 4-year degree in 2 years and 2 quarters. At 18 years old, while I was still in high school, I was a corporate pilot. When I was 21, I was an airline pilot. When I was 23, I know you don't like the military, but I was a fighter pilot. And then in years subsequent to that, private citizens combined with the powers of our government destroyed my life piece by piece by piece. And now I'm back to eating fried rice. And this ties into something you had said earlier, that debate about the guaranteed income. And I want to compare that to like a minimum wage. Mm-hmm. And I'm viewing it obviously from my situation that my career was basically destroyed. Partially it was my fault, and to a great degree, in my opinion, it was the fault of others doing unlawful takings from me. But anyway, I'm in the situation, and if I go back to work, I can't go immediately into the career that I lost. I have to go back into the labor market where I make on average like $10, $12 an hour, which you cannot afford a real home, or a vacation, or an insurance policy, or a retirement, or a saving, or health insurance, or anything, unless you're inside the welfare system. And so the question is, if a person like myself, if I wasn't lying, and that is indeed my resume, and so I have a proven track record of working, if I go back and I actually work 40 hours a week, I show up, I do the job, I produce, should the society that I live within reward me with a man's wages if I'm doing the best job that I can get? If that's the best I can do is working as an extra and a stand-in and a body double in the movies in New Mexico and getting literally $9.15 an hour, do I deserve more than that? If that's the best I can do with the history I got, and I show up and even in the movies, you work 12-hour days.
Right.
So, how does that tie in?
Well, if your work ethic is what it sounds like you're worth a lot. You know what I mean? Like the circumstance of your life right now doesn't determine your value as a person. And I personally think a lot of the government regulation, right? Like the place that would only be paying you $10, $11, $12 might be the only place because people like you can't afford to start up your own business and start your own jobs and create your own things where you'd bring so much more to the table than the people that, ruined your opportunity before. Like, I think it was Steve Jobs that says, we shouldn't go out and live in somebody else's life. We should be able to build our own. And that right there is kind of how I feel about things and how government does pick and choose winners in the marketplace that make it harder for people like you to succeed.
Right, and that's blatantly unfair. Yeah, I'll take the hardline approach, which is no, you don't deserve anything, no more than I do or anything else. I think if I could wave a magic wand and say, you know what, I'm going to give you a floor wage, we'll pay you for eternity $10 or $12, I think that would be a real disservice to you and what you've done in your life, because it would simply make it very easy to decide, you know what, I'm not going to make phone calls to try to get a job today because I've got my rent covered. I'm not eating fried rice tonight. I can eat something real. I can't go down that path. Because if I make one exception, then I have to make exceptions in my mind for everyone else.
Right, and then there's the people that say, well, I went to college and I've got a doctorate of feminine studies. I've got a doctorate. Why am I not being guaranteed a $70,000 a year income? Because I have a doctorate.
Well, plus all my school loans.
Right.
Right. Here,
Yeah.
let me distill let's depart my situation personally, and let me distill the mathematical equation a little bit more. Let's say you have a person who does literally show up to any job that they can get, and they take the best opportunity that they can get at any time they can get a new opportunity, and they're constantly seeking to better themselves.
Right.
And at any given moment, or let's say at a given moment, their situation is such that they're at, whatever, like a $10, $12 an hour job, and they literally are doing everything they possibly can, and they're seeking help from others, and that's the best that they ever do. Should they be doomed to live like, the next 20 years of their working career at 10 to 12 hours or dollars an hour where you can't have a real life, even though you're doing the absolute best that you can, and everybody agrees on that? Are you doomed to only be that level of wage all of your life, even though you're, showing up and doing it?
Let me real quickly say one thing. I am that guy. My girlfriend and I decided to start our own business about a year and a half ago. We've been doing this live for a year. I have not taken a paycheck. We're living basically off of our own retirement. I haven't taken a vacation. I've not had more than 2 days off in a row in over a year, and only because of how Christmas and New Year's fall this year will I get to experience the bliss that is 2 days off in a row.
Because you're closed on Mondays.
Right. And I don't care how many hours people work. If they have drive, they also have time to think. They have ideas. And I wish entrepreneurship on everyone who can possibly handle it. And a lot of those people can.
David, I would love to spend more time discussing this. Call back earlier tomorrow. Heather, go ahead with your point, and then we'll go to Hung.
This is my honest thought, is I think if somebody's working right now and they're working as hard as they can and there are services available to them, I don't look down upon anybody that utilizes those services, even if they're government funded, because of the fact that I believe even in a free society, those services would still exist. So while we're spending money dropping bombs, you won't see me complain for any one person that's on any government program helping to put a roof over their head or food in their stomach. So, I hope that you can get more than the fried rice. And if it's available to you, I'd say take it.
Let's go to Hung. Hung, you're on Free Talk Live with Darryl, Heather, and Chris. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, everybody. I'm at work, so I hadn't been paying attention to the show tonight. But I would just like to throw in a little something. I just heard a report that over in the Philippines, that psychopath that's running the country now has killed upwards of 6,000 people, extrajudiciously, I might add. And that just punctuates the fact that that caller in New Jersey, he's always talking about animals, Black Lives Matter, and those animals.
Yep.
I don't see anyone remotely close to as much as a big as an animal as that one is out running that country. I think he needs to switch his focus a bit. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I saw a headline yesterday that said Duterte claims that Donald Trump supports his extrajudicial killings.
Yeah, and also that he would not prosecute any law enforcement in the Philippines that was being accused of these atrocities.
And on top of that, you just still sending them millions of dollars of aid still.
your tax dollars.
Absolutely ridiculous. The aid should end yesterday. Hung, thank you for the call. Have a good night at work. Well, we're done for tonight, but we will be back tomorrow night as we are every night of the week, including Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Groundhog Day, you name it, we're here. Free Talk Live, always online at freetalklive.com. Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website, fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is $3 lower at $1,171 per ounce. Silver is 12 cents lower at $17.06 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $768 US. Consider giving the gift of silver. It never wears out, always has value, and they will always remember who gave it. For a variety of options, call us at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the